How's it going, internets? I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's time to get creative, it's time to get animated, it's time to get imaginative, and it's time to get inspired. And today's inspiration comes from Joe Madureira. Madureira? Let's just call him Joe Mad. But he's an amazing, amazing, amazing illustrator and basically creative inspirer. He sets the moods for these wonderful. He's done video games, he's done comic books, he's done illustration work. I love his stuff. Here's a little glimpse at a couple of just images that I was able to grab here for you. Unfortunately, my one of my art books from him was lost in the great storage facility debacle of 2011. But yeah, I mean, the way that he masters anatomy and form, but adds his own style to it, is really just phenomenal. I love his work, and I found a couple of great things that I wanted to share from quotes from him in an interview that he did that I wanted to share with you guys as well. And he said, "Do what you love. If you are passionate about what you're doing, it shows. If you're having fun, it shows. If you're bored, it shows." I think it's that's true. I know in my own stuff, if I get frustrated or if I'm not loving an idea or anything, I can feel my enthusiasm level dwindling, and I don't think I'm bringing that to work sometimes. So I think that's an important thing. And then it's you must get excited and motivated. You need to stay fresh, expose yourself to new things, to new techniques. You should be getting tired of your own stuff on a fairly regular basis, otherwise other people will. And I know that's something that I always try and stay motivated and excited and everything in the stuff I do. But I know at least probably a couple months ago, I was starting to just feel like I was in a little bit of a rut with where I was at with getting exposed to other people's ideas and other people's work and everything, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this part of the videos with you guys too, so I could force myself to go out there and look at different people's art and read different things and try and find different interviews and videos about what other people were talking about during their creative process and their workflows and everything, just to try and spruce up myself and my enthusiasm and my motivation level by exposing myself to other people's work. And I challenge you guys to do the same thing, and then stop worrying about the other stuff, the pencils, the paper, the anatomy, all that stuff. It will only get you so far. You've already got most of what you need, and now there's still, you still have to learn the fundamentals of things. You can't totally throw those out. But I know when I first started getting into drawing and everything, more heavily than casually, I was really worried about, okay, do I have the right pencil? Am I using the same pencil that this guy uses or that this guy uses? Am I using the same kind of paper? Am I having my desk set up straight? And all that stuff's just BS. You just need to get in there and do it every day, and you start working for a while, and eventually you start like getting about the importance of your lines. Your lines have to be so perfect, and you go through and you really nail them down. But eventually that looks so stiff, so you have to loosen up and be like, okay. And it's kind of a little bit of back and forth, and then you get too loose and then you have to tighten back and everything. But I think the important point from that one is that don't get so worried about all the little nitty-gritty in between stuff, but just really get out there and do some work every day. And it's that journey, that experience, that you'll come to your own realizations and your own understanding of art, because I really think art is a journey. And the last thing is, but here's the deal, you need to take risks. Guess what? You're most likely going to fail. If you want it, really want it, that won't stop you, and you'll learn a lot. And I think that's a good way to challenge yourself as well, to not be afraid to try new things and to push yourself and to be okay with the failing at it, because you're only going to learn more through your failures. I mean, what's that? Even for some reason I'm reminded of 409. It's a cleaning solution, and they did 408 versions. The reason it has the name is because it was number 409, and that was the cleaning version that they finally found that they liked, that they went with. But there are 408 versions before that they did. And I know that's kind of a silly thing, but you get the idea, is that it takes a while. It's going to take a lot of failure to get to where you want to be. So start putting in those hours of failure now so you can get there sooner. and I challenge you guys to do that. All right, that being said, I will link to a bunch of Joe Madureira stuff down in the information below. I don't think he has an official website, but he does have an official Twitter, so I'll link that down below because you should really check out his stuff. I really, really enjoy it. It's very creative, and it has a definite, solid foundation in the fundamentals of understanding perspective and anatomy and layout and composition and all that. But then there's such a creative playfulness and just imaginative stuff that he does that I really, really enjoy it. So that being said, let's get into today's animation. We're going to be using the Stewart rig, which is a free rig you can grab from Animation Mentor. Now, I've never used this rig. I've used Stella, which is kind of the girl version of this rig. But I try to keep these videos for as much as I can, which I'm starting to get to. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But I try to give you guys a free option for a rig that you can go home, download. You can download a free version of Maya, download a free rig, and get in here and try this stuff out for yourself, and then share back all the amazing stuff that you guys are creating. And don't forget to do that, because I want to see all the cool stuff you guys are making too. But yeah, it's a free rig. I will link the information below. You do have to sign up for their newsletter, but it's great. They always give great tips, so I definitely, that's a plus, and I wouldn't hesitate to do that. And then you also can grab the squirrel rig, which I did probably a week or so ago. I used a video with that one as well. And then I had a request from, shoot, I want to make sure that I give them a direct shout out, to do a run animation. And they were commenting on the Pictoplasma rig that I did from a little while back. I'm trying to find his name here, so bear with me a second. And I'd love to do a run. I haven't done a run for a couple months now, so I'm a little rusty. So this probably will be either a longer video or a little more of a trial and error with some stuff video, because I don't have 100% formula for my runs like I do for walks, where I just kind of like, this is my base that I go to, and then I add some texture and add some uniqueness above and beyond that. Each and every run I feel is a little bit different. You have to approach them a little bit different than a walk. But he wanted me to do a run with the Pictoplasma rig, and it was for I'm going to probably say this wrong, Quariranga Animation Studio asked me to do a video on a run, and I wanted to do a character that I felt would better show off a run. The Pictoplasma rig, which was the one that they mentioned it on, is a little bit of a shorter character with a little more unanatomical legs and arms, just a stylized thing. And I figured this one might be a little bit better because we could really get into doing that is in this rig. If it's much like the Stella rig, which I've used, is very anatomical. So like I said, if you're not familiar with this video series that we've been doing, we give ourselves 48 frames and anywhere from like 45 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the rig and depending on the idea, to try and see what we can come up with. And I try and give you guys a different rig every day to try out, so that presents its own challenges, just getting with the different things that you can see with the rig. So yeah, let's get in here. And one of the important things that varies from a run versus a walk is that you have to get that one frame in there where there's both feet are off the ground, so they get that little bit of a lift. At bare minimum, just make it so that there's never two planted feet is an important thing. Unlike a walk where you have your definite planting, with a run they're not going to have a planting of 2 feet at the same time. And one thing you're going to notice that's different as well is that the weight is going to be distributed a little bit differently, because the run is going to be, character is going to be in motion, so it's not always going to have the balance that a walk would have for most of it, where you're really not that off balance too much in a walk, unless you're like falling and doing something like that. So first thing we want to do if we're doing, in anything we're doing, is we want to get that initial first pose to get a strong, good storytelling pose here. Now, walks are similar to runs, so there's going to be a lot of that stuff that we'll notice is the same, but it's not exactly the same. And the timing's going to be a little bit different, and the up and down is going to be a little bit different. So there's a lot of things still that we got some variation with here. So we're going to have to be aware of that. I always like to do a little bit more of a hunch with my characters. It's just kind of a stylized thing, but I always find that that's something that I'm drawn to doing. It's kind of, I forget if it was Keith Sinte or Bula Rubello who talked about, let's see if we can't, what's here? Maybe we'll zero this one out. That way we can use this. So that one still stays in there. That's fine. I'll just not use this bottom one and use that one instead. Okay. Oh, but anyways, like I was saying, I think it was one or the other, but they said a good tip to getting more character right away in a starting pose is to play with the feet and the neck, which are two things that people don't always think of in posing very often, but it's the feet to keep them not being straight to camera if you're on like a straightaway pose. So you always want to give them a little bit of a tilt inward or outward just to have a little bit of splay there. And also with the neck and the back posture, either tweak it to be very rigid and pull it back a little bit more, or push it forward and give it a little bit of a hunch, and that'll instantly kind of give that character a little more personality with a couple little tweaks in your posing right there. Alright, so before we get too far, let's go ahead and save our scene. I feel like that's an okay starting pose. We'll probably tweak some stuff here and there with that. And we are using Maya 2014. There will be a link in the information below to check that out if you're unfamiliar with the program. I've messed around with a couple other programs, but I really do think that, just call this Stewart Run. And save that here. I really do think Maya is pretty much the go-to program that I personally enjoy animating in, and I like using for myself at least. Let's go ahead and turn these all off, do NURB curves, NURB surfaces, and polygons. But I like using Photoshop for doing hand-drawn animation personally. I have used Flipbook and what's the other one? Why can't I think of it? Was it maybe Mango Studio or something? Well, I've used that too. But I tend to really like doing Photoshop, even though it's a little more tedious. I feel like it, for myself, it's the way that I like to work. Move back to 0. Okay. And then we need to nail our first. Let's do it on 6s here. So I'll rotate this out and plant that down. Push that forward, grab that, push that. One thing we need to be aware of is the knee controller, so we want to make sure that we pull that forward. And then we're just going to do the contacts here for right now. So I'll set that there. 12, we'll go ahead and raise it up and rotate it back. So we've got this frame there and that frame there. And then we again got to be careful careful of those knees. We want to go ahead and pull that knee forward. So we got. But you know what? I think we want to do that on 6, not on 12 there. Now again, see, we're going to have to definitely get in here with a run and do a little more than usually with like a walk. I can usually do stuff on kind of 2s and everything, but with a run, usually you have to get in there and really do stuff on 1s. And that's okay. It just means it's a little bit of a different approach here. And again, we're just really nailing down the foundation of how we want to do the run, trying to build out what kind of time we want to do it in, and build out a couple of our initial key poses there. And let's go and push that forward a little more. I'll figure out the exact spacing once we get a little bit further. So we got that seated there, and then we're going to lift that up, rotate that back, and pull that forward. And it's always good to have some, to do some reference. So shoot yourself running if you've never done that before, or grab yourself a copy of any one of the Animator's Bibles that I usually link down below. Again, I don't do commission anything off of there. The only thing is after a few weeks I usually will allow occasional ad or so in the YouTube video, but I try to do everything as ad-based free as I can and just share this stuff with you. But if you do want to help support, definitely like and subscribe and tell your friends. And I do have a donate button on my site if you want to check that out at caseyturbos.com. You totally can. If you like what I'm doing, that will be awesome. Okay, I'll set that there, and we'll raise that up and rotate that back. And again, we're just building the foundation for this run, which is just going to be those contact ones. For most runs, we got to get in there and really do about, depending on the run, at least 2 or 3 key poses per step to get nailed down to what we want to do. And we're going to do this in kind of a layered method so that it's similar to what you're familiar with from watching other videos on the channel. And pull that knee forward. One, 2, 3. Okay, just making sure we're doing that. Set that there. Set that there. We'll raise that up. And rotate that back. I should have shown you that other run that I did when I was studying with Demos Risalis. I like doing that one. It's a little rusty. It was back when I was really just starting in animation, and not that I'm super far, but you know, it's got another year or so under my belt since then. So there's definitely things that I've learned since then. But that one was a real fun run to try out and learn with. It's a real bouncy run. That's when I first tried out learning breaking joints to have things rotate, you know, beyond what they would. So like an elbow, you'd have a frame where the elbow is like popped backward, even just to get some real looseness in there. That was when I first tried that out, and that was real fun. So I always find runs were a really good way to learn for myself. So I challenge you guys, if you've never done a run in animation, to do that as well, because walks are definitely a very good way for at least for me to figure out how I want to like approach a personality of a character. But a run is a great way to understand anatomy of a character for sure, and really get into the body mechanics of movement and everything as well. And again, like I said, we are just nailing down that these first few contact poses. So it's not gonna feel right yet, but it'll get there. Now I might even go a little slower than what we have here. I'll keep at this pace right now. that foot up here and rotate it back, and don't be afraid to delete stuff or change up stuff as well. So I want to hold that down to there. Oh, what I want to do is hold that to there. Oh, come on. So all we have there, put it there. There we go. If you middle mouse button and then hit S, that'll hold your key for you. At least on the default settings and everything here. Set what we have there. Take that and rotate X there. Just walk there. These are great rigs from Animation Mentor. I know when I was first learning, they didn't have rigs like this that were just free that you could get. So that was a real awesome thing that they have done for the kind of independent or just learning animation scene. I really appreciate that, and I think it's a great thing. I know I would have really appreciated it when I was first learning, having the opportunity to get into a really well-rigged character like this would have been awesome. So definitely, if you haven't used their characters before, they're probably one of the highest quality characters that are out there. So let's go ahead and grab everything, delete that, take where's our 36, and make that our 30. Did a little flub up there, but that's okay. And then we'll go back here. We definitely need to get, right now we don't have any sort of plant, we just have the foot floating off, so we need to nail that down, but we just want to get the basic timing for this, see if this is going to be too fast here. And I'll raise that up, rotate that back, and pull that forward, and pull the hips forward here. Okay, so let's go ahead and just watch that real quick. Probably even cover more ground here. So let's clean this up here a little bit. Let's grab our translation for the hips. That's going to be our left to right movement, and let's even that out a little bit more so it's not stuttery here. But I feel like those run steps could be a lot bigger. Hips forward a little bit more. Same here. So let's go ahead and do a little bit more on each of the steps here. And again, we'll have to tweak the hips and everything here too. I just want to make those run steps to be a little bit bigger. So let's see what kind of values we're going from. Translate Z from negative 27 to 76, so that'd be about 100. So that'd be about 100. That'd be about 100. That'd be about 100. And then there we go. Okay. Like I said, don't worry, we'll clean up everything here. But we just want to make these steps a little bigger. So that's 6, so that would be about 106. And again, I know I often say don't worry about the numbers, but it's a good way to check and see how things are moving here. So you've got, what's that? It's 106 to about 206. It doesn't have to be exact, but you want to get it close in that range here. That should be about 306 here. Okay, now let's go ahead and grab the hips. We want to definitely pull that, and both of those. We definitely want those facing forward. So let's go ahead and tighten all that. Let's see here. Yeah, we just want to keep those knees going so they're straight away here, so there's no slow in and slow out. See here. And let's grab, does that translate Z? Let's go ahead and pull them forward a little bit more. Just want to make sure we're getting our good distribution for our weight here. Maybe we went a little too wide with those steps here. Let's see. There we go. That's fine. I need to go back, I feel like a little more. Let's go back a little more. And there we go. So let's see. Alright, we got some basic stuff going on there, so that's alright. Now we need to get more of a loop for those feet going down. So we want to get in at 3 here. Okay, so we want to hold this until probably 3. So take what we have there and hold it till 3. Kick it down. So hold it till 15. This and hold it till 27. This and hold it till 30, just so we get some plants on those feet. Doesn't have to be totally perfect here, but just so we can start nailing that down. Let's go here. Switch motion. Do feel like those hips could probably be pulled back a little bit more. Let's see here. Okay, now we gotta get and make sure that this foot goes over and down. So we want to really get a better pose here. We want to get that kind of a bicycling feeling to those steps so that there's good arc in there. Forward, up. So let's see. And let's go ahead and do the same here. So we want to push that forward and up. Now, I talked before about the foundation of a walk and that the feet and the hips are really important, but in a run, the feet and the hips are everything. The rest of the stuff I feel like is just more character. Okay, that's starting to feel better. Let's do a little bit of up and down, see if that'll start bringing this better to life. So where do we want to land our up and down? Maybe up there, down here, up there. We might do the opposite. We'll just play around with it and see what we like here. Down there, up here. But so you need that position where both feet are in the air, or else you don't really have a good run. You've got to make sure that both feet are not on the ground at the same time, otherwise it's just going to be pretty much a sped up walk then. What did I have here? For some reason I have an ominous key there, so let's go ahead and just delete that. And let's look at those up and downs on the hips. Let's go ahead and clean those up a little bit more. See how that's feeling. And this is going to help us add a bit of weight to I feel like we should do the opposite here. Let's see. Now let's go ahead and just put it back onto the contacts here and see if that's better. What we like. Let's go ahead and increase the up and down a little more. Let's see here. If we did double, let's try that. Now we can do like a double pump for this. Let's see if we like that better. definitely minimize that a little more and see how that feels. Yeah, it feels a little better. So let's go ahead and get in there and tweak that up a little more. Starting to feel a little better. And remember, with all this stuff, it's okay to play around with it and get it to, there's no official formula for any of this stuff. There's a way that's natural, and then there's a way that's playful. So there's a lot of different ways to approach a sort of walk or a run. You just have to go with what you want. Be a little too much up and down, so I'll go ahead and turn it around. So we've got it going here. It goes down and then goes up. Let's try flipping it just to see if we like that better. So it'll go up and down and up and down. Let's try which one now. Let's lower it down a little bit more. And minimize the up and down a little bit more. Let's go and watch that. Okay, it feels alright. Now let's go ahead and set our weight up here. This one's going to be to the side. Just so that we've got the weight planted over whatever foot's planted there. This way here, and over here, and over there. So let's go and watch that now. Alright, starting to come together. So let's grab our translate X and let's clean that up a little bit more. And the thing about animation too, especially 3D animation, is we could spend 3 weeks doing this run cycle and really get in and tweak everything too. But the more that that I learn and grow, at least at this stage and where I'm at, I feel like it's just more about the feeling. If we can get the feeling to it right, then the rest of it's just how much polish and stuff on top of that do you want to do. And that's kind of up to you for whatever the end goal is for your shot. Just doing a little bit of sway to those hips there. Okay. So don't be afraid to spend months and months on a shot if that's what it calls for and that's what you want. But also don't be afraid to, just do different exercises to learn different things and try different ideas out. You don't have to worry too much about all the polish and all the grit and everything. And then don't be afraid to share it with people as well, because like I mentioned in another video, I think that's an important part to any sort of visual or creative medium, is sharing it with other people so you can get feedback on it, you can talk to different people, and that's how you can grow as a creator. And then we'll go here, do a little bit of rotate Y to favor that planted foot there, 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 there. Like I said, this is a little bit different than our other videos, and I think going forward I might not I might stick with doing walks for a while and trying out different creatures, but I'd like to get into trying some different stuff and sharing that with you guys as well. So definitely let me know down below. I know that I personally have just had some fun and enjoying trying just animating different short scenes rather than always doing kind of a walk, although I think walks are important. I've been doing kind of the walk a day thing for over a year now, and I don't know, I just want to keep growing myself too. So let me know down in the comments down below if you think you'd like to see that kind of stuff or not. Okay, let's get into chest here. Remember, we weren't going to use that one because for some reason that causes our hip controller to kind of come off a little bit. So go ahead and just use those ones here. And you can always time stuff differently with the run. You can do them quicker, you can do them faster. And I believe it's Richard Williams' Animator's Survival Kit. They have a thing to how to do runs on like 2 frames and having smears and stuff between them. So it really just depends on what you're going for with each of those. So don't be afraid to try different stuff and learn different things and read different books, because probably each person you talk to and each book that you read and everything is going to have a different approach to animating or drawing or illustrating, or for that matter any sort of creative content. And let's go ahead and swing. Since our hips are favoring that planted leg, we're going to swing those arms so it's favoring that that forward arm there, and vice versa. And then we got to get some swing into those arms as well. Missed one here. Okay, here we go. Okay, I think I'm going to move my rotate Z down to here just to mix it up a little bit more. Sorry. On 3 instead of there. So we're going to zero out the rotate Z, just so that the rotate Z and the rotate Y aren't going to hit on the same frame, because I don't really like doing that very well myself. Rotate Z, rotate Z, rotate Z, and we'll move that to 3. So we're just setting back 3 frames after what we had it before. And zero out the rotate Z there. And we'll zero it out there as well. That should add some more variation there. It gives us a little bit of fleshiness there. So we got maybe a little more rotate Z on the hips here. Zero it out there. Do a little more rotate Z, so we get that stretch and squash there. this one, and I don't want to do that, so let's go ahead and delete that. And what I want to do is these three. So let's go ahead and just reapproach those again, just so we make sure that we get nice clean curves. So let's rotate Z. So I always want to make sure that you're grabbing the right controllers there. It can be a little tricky there, but I think we've got everything we want. That's maybe why it wasn't looking as sharp as it could have been. Okay, so it's gonna watch that now. And let's go ahead and do some rotate Y here. Favor there. Favor there. Favor there. Favor there. There. And there. 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 And back again. Okay, might be a little too much, so maybe we'll have to tone down everything here. A little over the top with the amount of movement there, just making that neck flop around a little too much there. Let's go get here. And I want to even it out and scale it back a little bit more. It's pretty even. Did a pretty good job there. So go ahead and scale that back. You know what we haven't done in a while is save our file, so let's go ahead and do that now. So let's go ahead and save our file, save scene, continue, and don't forget to save often and to save multiple versions when you're working as well, just in case, so you don't lose anything. And let's scale back everything on those hips now. To get a good, nice feel to them. Alright, that's starting to feel pretty good. Let's watch it from the side. Got a little bit of weight there. Probably do a little more up and down. It's feeling a little light, at least from the side angle. So let's go ahead and clean up the up and down, which is the translate Y on here. The thing I like personally about using the Animation Mentor rigs is I've used them fairly often, and I like how they're set up with that their translate and rotates are all universal throughout the rig, which is really nice. So you don't have like a X rotate on the chest is one direction, but then the X on the hips is a different direction and everything, which in my opinion can get a little frustrating sometimes. Or it's a little bit of a learning curve that you have to overcome with other rigs sometimes. So it's nice that they make that universal throughout. Maybe a little bit more. Let's see here. Okay, so let's go ahead and save what we have now, and let's get some arm movement going. Got here. I'm going to rotate that forward and back. Forward and back and forward and back. And again, you know, it really depends on whatever you're going for in your run too. We could keep the arm just going straight forward, and you could run like that. You could put the arms up in the air. You could just really, you know, hold the arms tight together. It really depends on what you're looking for, but we're going to kind of go with more of a not completely vanilla, but more of your typical kind of run where you got some pumping arms and everything. And I think we'll actually close the fists here too. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe we'll keep them open. I like the way the hands work on the Stella and Stewart rigs. I think they're really well developed and really nice. And normally I like being able to get in there and really get on each and every finger, but I like kind of the mitt hands for these rigs. I think as far as body mechanics go, these might be one of my favorite rigs to use to start to study body mechanics for sure. So I challenge you guys to use these ones often when you're doing a real, you know, lots of flips and turns and runs and all that kind of parkour style movement. I feel like this run sets up a little bit better from the side view, or from like kind of a straight on or 3/4 view than. One thing I do want to do, I think we have our translate X that's a little bit inward on that foot, so let's make sure it goes in on here, because I feel like it's just at 0. So I think what I want to do is pull it so it's a little bit in. Not too much, but a little bit inward so that they... I think that might be a little too much, so let's scale it back a little bit more. But you see what I mean, just might still be a little much. We'll just do like at 1. But so that both feet kind of find a place that's in between the body, so it's not so far spread out. Helps maintain a better balance there. And actually, I think we could pull this one. Let's find the translate X here. Probably pull it in even a little bit more. I think we could actually pull this one back a little bit more. Okay, that's good. See. Maybe we need a little rotate Y. Rotate Z out a little bit. So you don't have to rotate Y. So, no, I don't want the Z. What do I want? A little bit splay out. Rotate Y. Bring it back to 0. Okay, let's go and watch that now. Okay, that feels pretty good. Go ahead and save where we're at right now. I feel like there's a little too much neck, so let's go ahead and approach that next. Next. Boo. That was bad. I'm just gonna kind of tone that down. Sorry for that bad next pun. It's really awful. I shouldn't do bad puns on here. Feel free in the comments to leave me your bad puns, though, because I do appreciate awful puns. That comes from learning from my dad, bad puns, when I was a little boy. Let's see if we can tone down that neck a little bit more. Just the side to side felt a little, since we have so much in the chest and the hips. I mean, that's natural, that's where it would go, but I want to tone that down a little more. That feels a little better. Okay, let's save our file here, continue, and let's get those arms moving here. Okay, so this one's swinging forward, so we're gonna pull the arm back here, and then, so I'll get a little bit of drag in there, and pull up. So I'll drag it back, and pull it in, and drag it back, and pull it in, and drag it back, pull it in, and back. let's go ahead and get here. We'll do the same thing. Rotate it back there. Pull it in there. Back there. Pull it in there. I feel like we might need to do a little more movement with that, with the actual arm itself, though, so we can get that out in front. We'll have to see here. Because it really feels like it's favoring the behind position a little bit more. And as you can see, just by looking at our graph of that arm, it obviously and hardly goes anywhere forward, so we're going to go ahead and accentuate that. And again, I don't want hugely floppy arms at all, but I don't want them to feel like they're only really swinging back and not swinging forward even enough. There we go, that feels a little better. Scale it back a little bit on the arm here, and do a little bit more on the forearm. And pull that back here. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch that now. Just want to make sure that it's working from all angles here. Yeah, let's go ahead and delay the, I'm going to make sure we even up that hand movement a little bit more as well. It doesn't have to be exactly even, just something a little bit more universal than what we have. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch that now. I think I'm going to look at the translate Y's on those steps. So I want this position, I think, to be higher than what it is, so it really raises up before it goes down. Raise those steps up a little bit more. Even out those steps a little bit more. Okay, let's go and look at that now. Let's go and watch that now. Here and make sure they're not. One thing we might try. I was thinking of just doing. Let's try to translate Y. We'll raise that up and we'll put that back a frame. So you can see if we can't get a better arc throughout on those steps. Key that. And give us a frame there so we can get a little bit of a better arc throughout there. Translate Y, keep that. Raise that up. those steps to have a nice little arc through them. So they're not too flat, so that there's some movement throughout. So let's see if we can't get that to look a little better there. Remember, everything's the bouncing ball, so you want just not to like go up and over. You want to have a nice arc through it. And this will also make our steps a little bit heavier because we're shortening the distance between, instead of being 3 frames to go down, they're only doing 2 frames, so that's something we got to be aware of too. It's going to change up our shot a little bit, so I'll have to see if we like that or not. Remember, it doesn't have to always be exactly the same. So, you know, in a normal run, you don't run every step exactly the same. There's going to be different changes based on how much energy you have, how much your legs hurt or don't hurt, how much the terrain is going to interact with your different steps and everything too. So don't worry about all that. Don't worry about that. Okay, let's go ahead and check that now. Let's go ahead and watch that now. I think I'm going to lower the steps a little bit more. I feel like they're a little too high now. And that might just be because of the timing that we'd switched around. Okay, let's go ahead and save our file here. And let's get into the other arm. I don't think we did that yet. Then we'll look at the feet. Yeah, we didn't do this arm yet. Did we do a swing on it? We did, okay. And rotate Y, rotate Y, rotate Y, and rotate Y back, forward, and back, and forward, and back, and forward. Okay, so let's go to more some. Let's compare the rotates between the arms. Let's clean that up a little bit, and let's add a little bit of rotate to this hand as well. That's 3, so we want to rotate that up and drag it back. Swing that up, drag it back, swing that up, and drag it back, swing that up, and drag it back, and swing that forward again. So let's go and watch that. Let's go ahead and check. Yeah, got a little bit uneven in our swings here. Those arms, I could tell there was a couple of them that are hitting a little bit harder than the others. So let's go ahead and scale that back. Let's go ahead and watch that now. Let's look at our translate X here. I think we need to feel like we're a little off balance here. rotate Y here. It just feels like it's a little off balance. Okay, let's go ahead and watch that. Let's just really minimize the translate X here, see if we can. So we have a lot of rotate there. I feel like we might not need as much translate. Maybe a little bit of the translate here. Translate X, it's zeroed out there. Zero. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and do a little bit more exaggerated hips. So we'll do some rotate there, some rotate there, rotate there, rotate there, 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 and 0. Okay, let's go and watch that. Okay. And maybe we'll delay this a frame or so just to add some texture on that hip as well. And rotate Y. Again, we're just kind of accentuating what we already have on the root, just on the hip here. And then if we delay it a frame or increase it a frame or so, it'll just add a little bit of texture so that it feels like the butt isn't hitting at the same time as the root, which are basically the same things, but it adds a little bit of fleshiness to that. That wouldn't be there if we didn't do that. Let's go ahead and watch it now. Okay, let's go ahead and save what we have. Again, just take a second. We're using Maya 2014, great program. And let's go ahead and do a little bit more with the feet here. Okay, so when we go here, let's see if we can do some foot roll. So we'll land here, and then we'll flop it down just so that we've got a little bit. Sell that contact a little bit more. So foot roll up here, and down there. And foot roll, and down there. And foot roll, and down, zero that out. And go here. Okay, let's go ahead and check that out now. And then another thing we need to do is zero that out. Oh, so you know, I got the wrong foot that I'm messing with here. Okay, so I want to take this, and I gotta be aware of that too. So do a little bit of foot roll up. So we'll go and foot roll and zero that out. Foot roll. Foot roll and then zero that out. Foot roll this. This way we just have so those contacts hit and roll a little bit, and it'll add a little bit of weight when we plant that foot down as well. A little bit of overlap. So it slaps down and peels off there. And then we'll slap it there. So let's see. And let's look at the foot roll and let's clean that up a little bit more. I do want to leave it at least planted for 2 frames each one, so that we can really get that foot does plant down. So we want to zero that out to leave it planted for at least 2 frames. So it hits and then plants. So it slams down and then keep that, zero that out. Let's go ahead and watch that now. Okay, let's go and save our file again. And then once we get that foot roll, we'll do a little bit of toe as well, just to mix up everything. And then we'll do some foot roll here. There, just so that it like reaches up with the toe there. Foot roll here. Foot roll there. Okay. Zero that out. And again, we want those 2 frames so that we get that contact, so that it feels. You use 2 frames for something so that you can feel it. You might not be able to see it, but you can feel. 1 frame is usually not enough to feel that something's different. And I know I'm saying feel, we can't actually feel it, but I mean to your eye will be able to tell something with 2 frames. With 1 frame, you're probably, that's why if you frame through a lot of older animated movies, they might have 1 just crazy frame of animation in there, and that might be an in-between or something that's going to be kind of a smear frame to get to trick the eye, but you're not going to be able to notice that frame's out. But with this 2 frames for contacts, we'll be able to feel like there's a contact there. Do you feel like those hips are moving a little bit too far forward? Okay, let's go ahead and save what we have. Now let's do some toes here. kneecap. We'll drag it there. We'll do a little raise up here. Just so we get a little bit of change of shape there. And again, this is just more about getting that nice little change of shape there, so that that foot can feel more fleshy. Here. Drag it back there. Lift it up here. It doesn't have to be a lot, just so we can feel there's some helps it feel less flat and there's more movement behind it. Okay, let's go ahead and save what we have, and let's get into the other foot. Now I do want to do a little bit of compression in the chest as well. So drag that toe, lift it up, drag it back, lift it up, drag it back, lift it up, drag it back. Okay, let's go ahead and check that out now. Okay, feels pretty good. Now let's do a little bit of rotate X here. Forward, back, 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 forward, back. And this will add, if we get this working right, it'll add a little bit of compression into that chest there. And again, it's not going to be a lot. We don't need a lot for this, but we do want some of that feel behind it so that it can feel like it's compressing. And we'll probably delay this about 2 frames as well, thinking. And then we need to offset it by doing the opposite in the chest so that it's not just leaning, but there's actually that compression. Because if we do it now, it won't feel about right. Okay, this one. This one. Let's rotate that back. Down. Straighten it up. Squash it down. Straighten it up. And squash it down. Straighten it up. And squash it down. Straighten it back. Squash it down. Straighten it back. Squash it down. Straighten it back. And squash it down. Straighten it back. And squash it down. Okay, feels a little jerky still, so let's definitely clean that up. So just grab the rotate X's here. And if it feels jerky, it obviously means that you either need to add more in the hips or do less in the chest, so that you get that nice balance between what the hips are doing and what the chest is doing. If it feels jerky, you have obviously too much feeling on one controller versus the other. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying this series. If you are, don't forget to throw me some thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And let me know down in the comments below, you know, if you have any comments, thoughts, ideas, things that you think worked or didn't work in this one, things that you'd like to see in other future videos. And again, it's not a lot, but we did add a little bit, so it adds that sense of bounce feel that you need there. And then, like I said, one thing that I wanted to try was perhaps delaying that compression by about 2 frames. So we grabbed everything in the hips and the chest, and we're just going to do 1, 2, so that will offset when that happens. So that would mean actually, I think I'd want to do it here instead. So it's straighten up. Let's just delay it 1 frame. That'll give us that little bit of up and down in the head as well. And perhaps we could do just a little touch of that. Just a little bit. A little bit's going to go a long way with the head in here. But if we delay it a frame or 2, it might add that little bit of texture throughout. And again, I don't want a whole lot here. A little bit'll do, just like if you're making dinner, might add a little bit of salt to something just to pull out the flavor a little bit more. But if you put too much in, it's going to spoil the whole meal. So, gotta be aware of that kind of stuff with animation as well. After we're done with the neck, let's get into doing some fingers. Okay, let's do a little bit on the head as well. And then we'll delay the neck and the head as well, so they're not hitting at the same time. So let's see. And then we gotta clean that up. let's grab both of them here and do the rotate X. We're going to delay it a frame here. Let's go and watch that now. And let's go and delay that one as well. Okay, that head feels a little too much, so let's tone down everything we have here. It might be something that we have to play blast and watch a couple times in the end to see if it's working as well. Yeah, it still feels like a little bit too much, so let's tone it back down. And tone that back down as well. Just clean this up so I can get that, because it feels like it's way too much, so I'll just tone it back. It still feels like there's too much. So let's just almost completely neutralize it, neutralize it, neuralize. Let's see here. Still could accentuate the up and down a little bit more here. See if I can't get some more semblance of weight there. It's probably going to go a long way, but just so there's a little bit of a tilt there to that head might help as well. Let's see here. Okay. First off, let's reverse it a little bit and minimize it because that didn't work the way that I wanted it to. So let's see here. Again, I think we could squash that down even more. I don't don't like to work in only one axis. I like to be able to get a little bit. You want to do all three and have them cohesive. Ideally. Let's do a little bit of routine C here. Scale it back and make sure that we get it on both sides and it's not just favoring one side here. And we haven't saved our file in a little while, so let's go ahead and save that, and then we'll get into those fingers and doing a little bit of drag in those from the movement of the hands as well. Okay, let's go ahead and check that now. Still feels like it's flopping too much side to side, so let's see if we can't scale that back on the neck here. Go ahead and save our file again, and let's get into these hands. Let's grab both of these parts of the mitt. And before we go anywhere, let's go ahead and separate these, give ourselves a better starting hand pose. It's something I didn't do earlier. Give a little bit of rotate there. Bend it in there. Interesting, at least. Okay, so settle we have there, and then what did we have fit on 3? Rotate up, rotate back, rotate up, rotate back, rotate up, rotate back. Back, forward, and we're going to delay everything one frame. We're going to take tips and we're going to scale those back a little bit more. I feel like the tips are a little over exaggerated and the roots weren't. And then let's take both of those and we'll delay them another frame here, and we'll take the finger, push it forward a frame, and this guy, and we'll bring it back a frame. Let's see if that gives us a fairly loose hand, and I think we'll just kind of frame through it. We need to start off with that finger a little this guy. Let's see here. Okay, got save our file here. And let's do that thumb. Tip of that thumb a frame as well. Okay. Save our file again and let's get into this hand. Set our frame there, go to 3, and pull them back, flip them out, pull them back. And flip them out, pull them back, flip them out, pull them back, flip them out, and back. So let's see here. And let's go ahead and grab everything, delay it a frame. Grab these two. Delete them a frame as well, and then let's delete that one more frame. Okay, then we'll exaggerate the root of the rest of the fingers, the fingers that aren't the index finger, the mid part. We'll exaggerate that a little bit more. Let's exaggerate the tip of that finger a little bit more, and we will scale down the root of this finger a little bit more, just so there's some variation between the hands here. Same idea behind it, but by varying the timing just slightly and the posing just slightly, they'll feel different. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get into that thumb. Rotate Y. Kick that out. And pull it back. And kick it out. And pull it back. Kick it out. And pull it back. And kick it out again. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch that now. Okay, maybe we'll squash that a little bit more. Don't need as much thumb. And then we'll delay the tip frame as well. Okay, and I think we'll do kind of this kind of an angle for this shot here. So A little bit of a 3/4. Still feel like we could get a little more up and down here. That feels pretty good. Let's go ahead and turn our nerve curves off. Alright. Maybe a little too much head jut forward. There's a bunch of ways that we could keep tweaking this, but I think that's a good place to call it for today. So let's take a look back at where we started for this one. Do I want to do a side view for this? Yeah, I think a side view is better. Let's go ahead and pull back this arm a little bit more at the end here, just so we can get better silhouette just on the end pose. Yeah, that one feels pretty good. Okay, let's turn our nerve curves off. Alright, so like I said, let's get started and look let's wrap up with where we got started with. So do what you love. If you're passionate about what you're doing, it shows. If you're having fun, it shows. If you're bored, it shows. You must stay excited and motivated. You need to stay fresh. Expose yourself to new things, new techniques. You should be getting tired of your own stuff on a regular basis. Otherwise, other people will. Stop worrying about all the other stuff, the pencils, the paper, the anatomy, all that stuff. It will only get you so far, and you've already got most of what you need. You. But here's the deal. You need to take risks. Guess what? You're most likely going to fail. If you want it, really want it, that won't stop you. You'll learn a lot. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, remember to throw me some thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and leave any sort of comments down below for thoughts, ideas, comments, criticism, things you liked about this, things that you would have done different with this shot, any sort of stuff like that. Really appreciate it, and I hope that you guys are enjoying this series. That being said, you guys are wonderful, you're amazing, keep at it every day. Alright, and then we will see you tomorrow for some more animation.